Hello and welcome to Meet the Fleet, a series of videos introducing you to the locomotives that run on the Bruceton Railway. Taking the stage today is a locomotive that needs no introduction. Class A1 number 4472 of 1923, the Flying Scotsman. Number 4472, Flying Scotsman, is an LNER Class A1 462 Pacific steam locomotive built in 1923 for the London and North Eastern Railway at Doncaster Works to a design of Sir Nigel Gresley. It was employed on long-distance express passenger trains on the East Coast Main Line by LNER and its successors British Railways Eastern and North Eastern regions, notably on the Flying Scotsman service between King's Cross and Edinburgh, after which it was named. Retired from British Railways in 1963 after covering 2.08 million miles, Flying Scotsman has been described as the world's most famous steam locomotive. 4472 became a flagship locomotive of the LNER, representing the company twice at the British Empire exhibition in 1928, hauled the inaugural non-stop Flying Scotsman service. It set 2 world records for steam traction, becoming the first locomotive to reach the officially authenticated speed of 100 miles per hour on 30th of November 1934, and setting the longest non-stop run of a steam locomotive of 422 miles on the 8th of August 1989 while on tour in Australia. As watering facilities for steam locomotives were disappearing in September 1966, Alan Pegler spent £1,000 on a second corridor tender which for an additional £6,000 was adapted as an auxiliary water tank and coupled behind the first tender. With a total water capacity of around 11,000 gallons, this gave Flying Scotsman an operational range of over 200 miles. The boilers and cylinder parts from Flying Scotsman's scrap sister engines, 60041 Salmon Trout, were also purchased. On the 1st of May 1968, the locomotive completed the non-stop London to Edinburgh run, marking the 40th anniversary of the inaugural non-stop Flying Scotsman service, and the year steam traction officially ended on British Railways. Following an overhaul on the locomotive in the winter of 1968 to 1969, Wilson's government agreed to support Alan Pegler running Flying Scotsman in the United States and Canada, hauling a 9-coach exhibition train to promote Britain's exports. To comply with local railway regulations, it was fitted with a cowcatcher, bell, Buckeye couplings, American-style whistle, air brakes and high-intensity headlamp. The first leg began in October 1969 with a run from Boston, Massachusetts to Atlanta, Georgia via New York City and Washington, D.C., and on to Salton, Texas, where it was paused for the winter. Despite a successful start, the tour ran into problems as strict anti-steam laws in some states deemed the engine a fire hazard and either denied permission to run or required the train to be towed by a diesel or electric locomotive. Restrictions on foreign trains meant Pegler was not allowed to carry paying passengers and had to pay local railways to run on their lines. The tour resumed in 1970 with a run from Texas to Green Bay, Wisconsin, and across the Canadian border in Montreal. This was followed by a run from Toronto to San Francisco via the Rocky Mountains and Oregon in 1971, a total of 15,400 miles. In 1928, Gresley began to modify the A1s into an improved version, a Class A3, on a gradual basis. In 1945, the remaining unmodified A1s, which included Flying Scotsman, were reclassified as A10. 103 emerged as an A3 on the 4th of January 1947 with its original apple green livery. Its old 180 psi boiler was replaced with a 225 psi version with a long banjo dome of the type it carries today, and it was fitted with more effective valves and cylinders. To commemorate the opening of his railway, the operator of Brucington asked the NRM to have the Scotsman make a special appearance. The event turned a large profit in favour of the railway, and more dates were added to keep up with demand. The NRM allowed Brucington to keep the locomotive on the condition that the museum collect a portion of the revenue, a deal which is still going strong to this day. We hope you've enjoyed meeting the Flying Scotsman, and remember that she can be seen upon request at any time. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon for another episode of Meet the Fleet.